What if the real fountain of youth isn't hidden in some vine-choked jungle, but blazing from a battered floor wedge, humming with feedback? Imagine a single beam of white-hot stage light searing wrinkles into road maps of adventure instead of age. Tonight, we chase that glow. We'll track the legends who made time tap its foot, who bent the calendar until decades started to rhyme, and who still turn creaking joints into thunderous encores. Yet, behind every roar lurks a harsher question. What happens when vocal cords fray, hearts misfire, and fame's spotlight refuses to dim? Hold that puzzle as we crack open 6 sprawling chapters, each soaked in rumor, redemption, and riffs that refuse to die. And keep your ears pricked for the hushed talk of a blues icon's canceled European finale, a mystery that nearly silenced him forever. But first, take a seat, dim the house lights, and listen for the opening lick that says the blues still has teeth. Buddy Guy once vowed he'd only retire when his guitar neck splintered under the weight of unfinished solos. He nearly made good on that promise this year. At 88, he barreled into the Damn Right Farewell Tour, a rolling carnival of feedback and testimonials. Tickets vanished faster than vinyl reissues until a cryptic press release pulsed out. Certain European dates postponed for medical observation. Fans panicked. Forums cooked up conspiracies, microstrokes, pulmonary scares, secret surgeries. 3 weeks later, Buddy swaggered onto a Chicago stage, wry grin intact. He opened not with "Sweet Little Angel," but a growl. "Doctor told me to sit. I told him the blues don't sit, they stomp." Cameras caught a tremor in his fretting hand, but when he snapped into an extended bend, 12 bars stretched into 48, and the tremor looked more like tremolo. Still, insiders leaked that his cardiologist had banned back-to-back flights. Hence the axed Lisbon, Paris, and Prague legs. Ticketmaster's auto-reschedule algorithms glitched, charging frantic fans triple. Social media erupted. Jarn's Greedy Guy trended before cooler heads parried with "Jacques Let the Legend Live." On the other side of the Mississippi, Bobby Rush, nonagenarian harmonica wizard, self-proclaimed blues playa, stumbled into Hollywood by accident. Director Ryan Coogler needed a voice equal parts gravel and gold for a Bayou vampire flick titled Sinners. He found it in a 30-second TikTok where Rush freestyled lines about immortal heartbreak while frying catfish. Suddenly, the man who began touring in the 1950s, who'd shared shotgun seat sandwiches with Muddy Waters, was sitting in a green screen coffin, cracking jokes about union lunch breaks. Early test audiences howled. Lionsgate quadrupled marketing spend. Rush's Instagram ballooned from 40,000 to 4 million overnight. Fame's new glare came with a modern price tag. Bots resold premiere tickets at $600. Rush laughed it off. "I've been underpaid for 70 years. Looks like the scale finally balanced." But haters clipped a rehearsal flub. He forgot a line, cursed, "DN camera what you staring at?" then chuckled. The clip became a meme. Headlines mocked, "Who let Grandpa out the crypt?" Blues purists fought back, launching #RespectBobby. Within days, the meme reversed polarity. Reposts layered Rush's flub over megastar lip sync fails, crowning the elder statesman the only one brave enough to keep it live. Behind the scenes, Buddy and Bobby swapped late-night calls. They compared cardiology stats like kids trading baseball cards, who logged more steps on stage monitors, whose blood thinners left bigger bruises. They were plotting a dual-bill streaming special, 8 cameras, 1 night, no set list, when lawyers flagged insurance disclaimers the size of a novella. Y'all realize these gentlemen plan on 3-hour sets with no intermission? One underwriter balked. Buddy shot back, "Write your policy in pencil, son. We'll erase what we don't like." But this chapter isn't merely about defiant octogenarians. It's about how the blues, born in shotgun shacks and juke joints, outwits algorithms. Buddy's bent strings still cut through Spotify's loudness wars. Bobby's harmonica pierces TikTok's compressed audio like sun through barn slats. When they exhale that ancient 8-bar sorrow, teenagers pause their doom scroll, wide-eyed, sensing they've touched something raw, something heavier than likes. Yet the blues is only the overture. Somewhere past those smoke curls stand three women whose voices refuse to wither. Silk, thunder, and sanctified fire all braided into one staggering harmony. Dionne Warwick turned 84 and promptly booked a desert slot at the Coachella Valley Music and Arts Festival, an event where festival goers weren't born when she recorded Walk On By. A heat advisory hit 104 degrees Fahrenheit the afternoon of her set. Paramedics stood by with electrolyte popsicles, yet Warwick waltzed on stage in a pastel caftan, sparkling like melting opal. The crowd braced for nostalgia. She blindsided them with a slinky rearrangement of Deja Vu, dropping the key, sliding blues notes between every Burt Bacharach chord. Rumors of an onstage collapse the year prior still buzzed. Tabloids used words like frail, worrying, final bow. She neutralized them with tweets so sardonic the Bird app practically bowed. FYI, kids, I collapsed into a comfy chair after singing Chicago out of breath. Try it sometime. Screen captured thousands of times, the clapback earned its own merch line. T-shirts screaming reboot the hardware. VIP meet and greets, originally $350, spiked to $500, selling out in 20 minutes. Mavis staples, civil rights thunderbolt, gospel queen, soul survivor, strolls a very different battlefield. She's 85 going on 35 inside, if Instagram Live is any gauge. Last winter, she teased a secret EP, rumored to be produced by Questlove, built on dusty reel-to-reel loops from her late father, Pop Staples. In the teaser clip, she howls a verse from Frank Ocean's Godspeed, grabs a tambourine, and breaks into laughter that rattles the phone's mic. Within hours, Gen Z fan edits paired her vocals with vaporwave animation. When a follower asked if algorithms intimidate her, she shot back, "Baby, I invented the algorithm. Mine just used vinyl." Then there's Thelma Houston. TikTok teens discovered disco the way archaeologists unearth mosaic tiles, one glittering shard at a time. A 15-second mashup of Don't Leave Me This Way and Beyoncé's Cuff It detonated trends overnight. Suddenly, Houston, 78, was fielding interview requests about going viral. One late-night host implied her 2024 morning show appearance had been lip-synced. The next evening, Houston responded with a raw cell phone video. No reverb, fluorescent bathroom lighting, hitting the climactic belt freehand. Comment sections gasped. She's not singing live, she's singing forever. Yet each woman faces invisible tolls. Warwick's knees bark like bad brass hinges. Cortisone shots line up like tour buses. Staples manages diabetes as fiercely as she managed Jim Crow sheriffs. Houston cracked a rib weeks before a Pride Parade Grand Marshal gig. She strapped her corset tighter and danced anyway. They endure because their voices didn't grow old. They grew deeper, stained with walnut lacquer, impossible for auto-tune to mimic. Between them, they've weathered more shticks than a Vegas magician, disco's implosion, gospel's commercialization, streaming's penny royalties. Still, they treat every setback like fresh sheet music. Warwick turned health rumors into brand capital. Staples uses memes to funnel youth toward voter registration drives. Houston converts TikTok likes into booking fees that fund an LGBTQ seniors charity. But Soul's foundation isn't simply vocals. It's harmony so tight it could squeeze blood from stone. And the guardians of those harmonies march on, pressed suits gleaming like time capsules. Otis Williams never planned to be the last Temptation standing. The group rotated members like tires on a touring van. Injuries, egos, tragedies. Now, 83, Williams carries 6 decades on his shoulders, still tackling Temptation's choreography doctors call orthopedic Russian roulette. When their Las Vegas residency extended into a 3rd year, promoters begged for canned backing tracks to ease strain. Otis refused. "If the kids pay for autopilot, Soul," he snapped, "they can stream it for free. We came to perspire." At each show's apex, he still nails the knee drop in My Girl, though a stage tech once admitted the crew keeps a defibrillator side stage just in case the high note steals his heartbeat. Across the Atlantic, rumor riots swirl. William Bell, 86 Grammy winner for his haunting 2016 LP, This Is Where I Live, might crash Glastonbury's Sunday secret slot. His camp plays coy, leaking only a selfie. Bell holding a wide-brimmed hat captioned packing. Fans decode backgrounds like CIA analysts. Is that a British plug adapter? Is that a TSA customs tag? Betting sites open novelty odds. Ticket holders rehearse "You Don't Miss Your Water" choruses just in case. Meanwhile, Bell's voice remains syrup poured over heartbreak. He jokes to BBC Radio, "Lord willing, I'll sing until the vowels drop out of English." Eddie Floyd, elder statesman of Stax Records, slips under mainstream radar but reigns supreme in Southern soul circles. At 88, he hosts a monthly songwriter salon in Memphis, inviting hungry 20-somethings to trade verses over red beans and rice. Rule number 1, no social media during the spin. Can't tweet and testify at the same time. Floyd's hearing aids whistle near high frequencies, so budding artists must project sound microphones, reviving the long-lost skill of singing to the back row. Graduates call it boot camp. Floyd calls it refilling the well. These men share a secret burden, the eternal tug of war between preservation and progress. They curate nostalgia, yet detest stagnation. Williams toys with trap hi-hat remixes of Motown. Bell studies Ableton tutorials. Floyd experiments with AI vocal stem software so he can jam with spectral versions of long-gone bandmates. They don't fear technology, they fear irrelevance, and fear, for them, is fertilizer. Behind them, though, stand pioneers who seldom scored the headline font, women whose fret-buzzed gospel and playground chants quietly rewired music at the root. Ella Jenkins is 101 and owns more harmonica keys than Wall Street owns patents. Kids call her Miss Ella. Educators call her the mother of children's folk. The Library of Congress calls her field recordings national treasures. But Jenkins waves off grand labels. "I'm just the lady who asks, can you sing that back to me?" This year, the Smithsonian mulled a permanent exhibit of her classroom tapes. Funding committees bickered. Some said children's music is a niche. Others argued Jenkins bridged black oral tradition with mainstream pedagogy. Twitter settled the debate with a petition. 200,000 e-signatures trending under number "Give Ella Her Hall." Half a century earlier, Sister Rosetta Tharpe lit gospel lyrics on fire with overdriven guitar. She clawed single-coil pickups until church revivals morphed into proto-rock mosh pits. Historically sidelined, Tharpe's resurrection finally came via a 2025 Gibson signature guitar, sleek white finish, black pickguard, devil-may-care Bigsby tremolo. Pre-orders eclipsed Slash and Jimmy Page models combined. A Billboard op-ed thundered, "The Godmother's back. Put respect on her feedback." Young shredders flooded TikTok with the hashtag Tharpe Challenge solos, discovering the woman who predated Chuck Berry's Duck Walk by 15 years. And then there's Bettye LaVette, 79, who spent 4 decades one hit away from glory. In 2024, a podcast host dared to ask why she never broke big. LaVette inhaled like a furnace. Gatekeepers freeze playlists at 1980. "I thaw 'em with gasoline." Clip hit 1 million views before dawn. Indie rockers, rap producers, avant-garde noise duos all slid into her DMs. She recorded 15 features in 6 months, from a flamenco trap dirge to a doom metal ballad. Each new track sounded like a battered jewel, edges sharpened by betrayal, facets catching fresh light. The common theme? These women wrote rulebooks in disappearing ink. Jenkins taught millions to keep rhythm with nothing but palms and playground dust. Tharpe crash-landed guitar gospel onto secular airwaves. LaVette weaponized disappointment, forging a voice that bleeds honesty. None of them waited for permission. They bulldozed back doors into history. Yet every labyrinth of legacy eventually leads to rock's grand pyrotechnic rogues. Singers who shattered mic stands, smashed pianos, and left scorch marks on polite society. Chuck Berry has been hurtling through interstellar dark since 1977, courtesy of NASA's Voyager Golden Record. Imagine, somewhere past Pluto, alien ears might be attempting the duck walk. Scientists recently recalculated Voyager's battery half-life. Berry could still be jamming 150 years after earthly radio signals fade. A new STEM curriculum uses Johnny B. Good to illustrate wave propagation, cosmic rock and roll as physics lesson. Berry's estate sells t-shirts reading, "My solo is currently 15 billion miles long." Little Richard passed in 2020, but the first trailer for his 2025 biopic just set imaginations ablaze. It lands square in cultural warfare, the church's attempt to straighten Richard's flamboyant arcs, the record execs who stole riffs, the gender-fluid costumes parents once called witchcraft. Twitter feud lines blink like runway lights. Traditionalists spar against queer historians, each side armed with gifs of Richard's manic grin. Meanwhile, Gen Alpha kids discover his interviews gasping, "He roasted talk show hosts before roasting was a meme." Fat's Domino, the gentlest titan, left us in 2017. Yet Blueberry Hill just found new life as background for a calm, study lofi playlist. A 17-year-old beatmaker layered crackling vinyl static and low-res snares beneath Fat's croon. Within 48 hours, streams skyrocketed 300%, dragging Domino's entire catalog along for the ride. His family issued a cuddle-soft press statement. Fats would have loved knowing kids are still doing homework to his piano. And maybe that's the point. Rock's rowdiest roots can cradle meditative heads in 21st century dorms. Together, these posthumous giants confirm a paradox. Humans expire, but swagger doesn't. Once a riff escapes the amp, it mutates, replicates, and hitchhikes across centuries like a sonic virus. Elvis may own the crown, but the blueprint lies in Barry's triple-stop guitar licks, the neon soul in Little Richard's shriek, the effortless smile in Domino's left-hand boogie. But what of the rare musician who not only outran death, but slapped a Grammy on its desk nearly a century into life? Let's tip our hats to the man who made Father Time tap his toe. Joe Willie Pinetop Perkins emerged from Mississippi Delta cotton fields in 1913. He fought juke joint knife brawls, broke his arm, abandoned guitar for piano, then carved ivory key thunder that shook whiskey glasses 2 counties away. He toured with Muddy Waters, outdrank legends half his age, and once traded a Model T for a Hammond B3. When asked how many fingers of bourbon fueled his nightly boogie-woogie, he smirked, "I drink until the keys whisper secrets." Flash forward to 2011. The Grammy stage glows. Perkins, 97, navigates spotlight glare with the steady dignity of a man who's already played every dive bar on earth, some twice in the same night. He hoists the gold gramophone for Joined at the Hip, becoming the oldest Grammy winner ever. The teleprompter offers 45 seconds for thank yous. Pinetop uses 15, leaving space for a slow-motion fist pump captured in HD. Younger nominees applaud through moist eyes. One mouths, "That's forever." A new Netflix miniseries, Pinetop vs. Time, delves into his final recording sessions. Producers tried adding ghost notes to fatten the mix. Pinetop scolded, "I've already got ghosts in my left hand." Young pianists attempted to match his tempo. He doubled it, laughed, and slicked pomade through snow-white hair. The docuseries ends on a freeze frame, Perkins finishing a take, winking as if he sees the credits rolling on his own life reel. What lingers is not merely perseverance, it's obligation. Perkins felt duty-bound to outlive obscurity itself. Every downbeat said, "You will remember," and we do. His tombstone in Austin reads simply, "This man could boogie." Picture the curtain falling after the last encore, but no one leaves. The house lights stay dim, holding their breath, as if the very air wants one more tale before slipping into night. That is when the music itself begins to whisper, threading between empty seats, curling around microphone stands, and sneaking backstage where guitar strings still vibrate from the final chord. It spins a yarn about age, telling us that the passing years don't muffle a song. They concentrate it, boiling off everything trivial until only the raw notes of heartbreak, joy, and stubborn hope remain. The whisper drifts toward Buddy Guy's abandoned Stratocaster, still slick with sweat. It reminds us how a canceled European leg transformed into myth the moment rumors flared, how an octogenarian's tremoring hand bent a note so fiercely that even cynics forgot to complain about ticket prices. At the opposite wing, Bobby Rush's sequined jacket hangs like a disco ball ghost, shimmering with the laughter of teenagers who tried to turn a flub into a meme, only to find themselves converted, singing the blues right back at him. Down a dark hallway, the echo passes Dionne Warwick's flower-scented dressing room. Bottles of throat spray line the counter, flanked by vitamin packs and glitter. Her reflection in the mirror, now empty, still seems to wink, daring anyone to call her frail when she can yank 20,000 strangers to their feet With a single ascending phrase, the echo quickens, spilling onto the loading dock where Mavis staples once turned a gospel hum into a thunderclap and sent it spiraling through online feeds that weren't designed for vinyl souls. It darts past a stack of TikTok-smeared posters bearing Thelma Houston's silhouette, proof that reinvention never clocks out. It just finds a fresher beat. Around a corner, the echo pauses before Otis Williams' neatly folded silk lapels, William Bell's wide-brimmed hat, Eddie Floyd's battered lyric notebook, a holy trinity of stewardship. These men carried history on their shoulders not to preserve it in amber, but to hand it over, beating and alive, to anyone reckless enough to listen. In a corner case sits Ella Jenkins's harmonica, Sister Rosetta Tharpe's blistered fretboard, Bettye LaVette's handwritten set list covered in coffee rings, and stubborn dreams. Each relic gleams like a stubborn ember, reminding us that pioneers rarely get a parade on their first lap through town. Sometimes they wait decades before the world realizes it has been marching to their rhythm all along. Past midnight, the echo picks up speed, ricocheting off ghost note walls painted by Chuck Berry, Little Richard, and Fats Domino, proof that swagger can saunter straight into the afterlife without losing its strut. And just when silence seems ready to settle, a single piano chord booms from somewhere distant, a wink from Pinetop Perkins signaling that even time itself once had to stop and catch its breath. Only then does the echo circle back to us, the late-night stragglers still rooted in the aisles. It leans close and murmurs the real secret. Music isn't measured in minutes or streams or award show confetti. It's measured in distance. How far a riff can race beyond the grave, how many generations a lyric can leap, how long a stage light can cling to a wrinkled cheek and make it glow like dawn. If men in their 90s can still bend reality with a single chord, and if women with aching knees can still flip rumors into rallying cries, then what excuse could any of us possibly have to stay quiet? So the house lights finally rise, soft and forgiving, and the spell breaks. Yet the story lingers. Maybe you feel it thrumming behind your own ribcage, a low bass line urging you onward. Take it as permission. No, as a dare. The legends have shown you how to outrun silence. All that's left is to find your own stage light, step beneath its blaze, and see how far your voice can carry before morning comes.